want to stop having to work so hard to come back from a bad first impression and instead make a perfect first impression, you found the right video. Welcome to the Network Marketing Personal Development Show here on Finding Leadership Within, where you learn to grow yourself and grow your business. My name is Gabriel Klingman, author of the book Opportunity Switch, author of the book $1 Million Employee, and co-founder of Finding Leadership Within. And today we're going to talk about how to create a perfect first impression. Stay tuned. If you want weekly, up-to-date training on how to unleash your potential, grow yourself, and grow your network marketing business, then go right ahead and click that subscribe button. Let's talk first impressions. Why are they so crucial? Well, I want you to think back to a time where you had a first interaction with someone. Let's talk first impressions. First, why are they so crucial? Well, I want you to just think back to a time where you had a first impression with someone, and your impression of them was very poor, right? You saw them, you interacted with them, and maybe they were twitchy, maybe they were on edge, maybe they were all uptight, something wasn't right. Now think back. Did you want to go see them again after that? No, of course not. Why? You don't know everything about them. You don't know, maybe they just had a bad day. Maybe they just broke up with their significant other. Maybe they got fired right before you met them. You don't know what was going on. Yet, you still, after that interaction, don't want to hang out with them. Why is it? The reason is because our brains are incredibly lazy. Our brains will fill in the gaps at every step. When we have a little bit of information, our brain will take that information and say, what is similar to that? What has happened around this information that's similar? And what can I get a broader meaning for? If our brains are going to fill in the gaps anyway, then doesn't it make sense that we'd want to put in a little bit of extra effort to make sure that first impression is perfect, and so that our brains will fill in the gaps with positive information instead of negative? Of course it does. So point one on how you do this is to find something in common. Now here's a clip from an interview we recently did with Big Al, where he explains the importance of finding something in common.
We tend to trust people who are more like us than people that are dislike us. That's a natural human tendency based upon some neuroscience. And that means we tend to like people of the same religion, same political party, same ethnic background, same location, same brand of beer, same sports team. We just tend to feel more comfortable around people that are more like us than people that are different than us. So Gabriel goes to China, 1 billion Chinese people around him. He looks around and says, ooh, but he meets somebody else from America. And he says, oh, where are you from? And I say, I'm from Texas. And he says, wow, I'm from Maine. We're neighbors. Because somebody from America is more like him than all the 1 billion Chinese people around him. So how do you signal to people that we are more like them than dislike them? And we do that by just telling them one simple little tiny fact that they believe and we believe. And they say, well, then you think just like me. You must be a genius.
Like Big Al said, our brains are lazy. Our brains fill in the gaps at every single turn. So if you want to create a great first impression, the first action step is to find something you have in common and say it. Communicate what you have in common. The second is to communicate a second thing you have in common. Find that second thing and communicate that. Before I jump into point number 2, I want to lay some groundwork here. We are always communicating, regardless of whether we're actually saying words or not. Now, we're always communicating because we're communicating through other channels. Now, there's 2 other primary channels that we're communicating through. The first is physiology, which is a fancy word to say your body. Right? So when I first meet with someone and someone says, hey, how was your day? If I say, oh yeah, my day was great. My day was absolutely great. What happens? You see my body language, my head's down, my shoulders are slouched, I'm looking down at the ground. Can you read that my day was not actually great? You're reading that from my physiology. The words I'm saying is that I had a great day, but my physiology is saying I didn't. My body is saying I didn't. Now, let's flip that. If I were to communicate with you and ask, hey, how was your day? And you said, you know, my day was all right. Yeah, it was all right. What's happening? My hands are at my hips, my head is up, I'm smiling, I'm nodding. Is it likely to assume that my day was more than all right? Absolutely. And you're getting that from my, again, physiology. Now, the second thing you want to read in is tone. That's how someone says something. Can you tell that there's a difference when someone says, I love you, to I love you? Do you see how there was such a difference there? When someone says, go do that right now, and go do that right now. Do you see how there's a difference there? That's my tone. If I were to ask, hey, how was your day? And you were to say, my day was just great, thanks. What is happening? My words are saying my day was great, but my tone is sarcastic. My tone is saying my day is not great. You see, we're always communicating whether we're actually using words. So if you want a leg up, focus on what the person is saying, not just the words they're using. Now this leads right into point number 2, matching and mirroring. So what is matching and mirroring? It's really simple. If you were to raise your right arm, if I were to match that, I would raise my right arm. Really simple. You scratch your head with your right hand, I go up and I scratch my face, my head, something with my right hand. Okay, that's matching. I'm doing the same exact thing that you are on the same side. Now to mirror that is to be the mirror image of the other person. So if you were to raise your right hand, what I'm seeing is your right hand is here. So your right hand goes up. So what I would do is I would raise my left hand, right? Because I'm now a mirror image of you. Now you're probably asking, what's the difference between matching, mirroring, and mimicking? And that's a great question. Now mimicking is doing the exact same thing as the other person in their conscious awareness. And you catch that. That last part is crucial. Doing the same thing as the other person in their conscious awareness. Now the key with matching and mirroring is, one, for it to be a subconscious thing. It's not so obvious that the other person sees it, not so obvious that they notice it. The other is that it's not something that's uncomfortable for you, and it's not something that you wouldn't do already. Now here's an example of the difference. Remember, to match and mirror is to do something that's within your own comfort level. You never want to do something that you wouldn't naturally do. So for example, if I am interacting with someone and they take their hands and they put it behind their back, ow, I have very bad shoulder flexibility. So this is actually very painful for me to do. If someone takes their hand and they put it behind there and they're just talking, that's not something that I'm going to do because that's uncomfortable for me. It's very uncomfortable. So instead, what I can do is I can take my elbows, put them back, maybe lean back a little bit. I am matching or mirroring some of their physiology without doing the exact same thing. Now remember, we're trying to match and mirror the physiology as well as the tone. So what does this look like? This looks like matching and mirroring their posture, their gestures, their facial expressions, as well as their breathing, their physiology. For tone, this means matching their loudness of their voice. Are they quiet? Are they just too loud? Or matching the speed. Do they talk like this? Or do they talk like this and they just never shut up and they just keep on going on? We just learned how to create a killer first impression. When you find something the other person has in common and you communicate it, and then you match and mirror their physiology and their tone. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. If you want weekly up-to-date training, go right ahead and hit that subscribe button. Let me know. I will be right here next week to help you unleash your potential. Until then, grow yourself, grow your business.